5 things anxious INFPs do that may appears to be offensive, but isn't. Because INFPs recharge in isolation, please don't take it personally when we request seclusion. When I was a child, I was this kid who made a concerted effort to blend in with the other children. As a result of frequent school changes, I had little stability. Each new school seemed like being stuck in a scene from Jumanji, only that instead of big mosquitos and monkeys, there was a monstrous anxiety monster. Isn't this the height of INFP imagination? I had no idea what an INFP was or that there were 8 distinct introverted personalities at the time, let alone grasp the concept of introversion. All I knew was that anytime I attempted to blend in, I was miserable. I was in my 20s and have realized how much I enjoy isolation, both now and as a child. Things became clearer after I took the Myers-Briggs personality testing and discovered that I am an INFP. We are the most idealistic introverted personality type. Some, though not all, INFPs are also extremely sensitive individuals, HSPs. As a very sensitive INFP, I'm prone to experiencing both anxiety and apprehension at the same time. Choosing what to watch on Netflix or where to eat puts me in a pickle. As a result, I acknowledge that I often do what the other person desires in order to avoid falling into a guilt-ridden mindset. I'm the person in the memes who is afraid to speak out when the waiter gets the order incorrect, and it's all too easy for me to spiral into guilt when I attempt to set limits. Additionally, because INFPs despise conflict in both our professional and personal life, we generally go with the flow. In my work life, I've developed strategies for dealing with emotional overwhelm, by taking short breaks and listening to music or watching a stand-up comedy special. However, in my private life, I take my sweet time processing my emotions until I'm ready to mingle once more. Before we dive deeper, please remember to subscribe because we donate $1 for each new subscribers each month to www.savethechildren.org. So by subscribing and being part of this community, you are already helping the children too. 5 things I do as an anxious INFP that may appear offensive, but are not intended to be. 1. I am unable of receiving or returning phone calls, let alone initiating them. However, what about texting? There is no issue. As someone who has battled phone phobia for the most of my life, I am scared of phone calls. Not that I am unwilling to speak with you, but as an INFP, my ideas and words are never in sync. I'm someone who calls folks and prays they don't pick up so that I can say I called. But, of course, they didn't. Many INFPs are born writers, which is why we prefer texting to calling any day. Even as a child, I struggled to express my emotions verbally, which eventually led to journaling. I try to avoid making calls unless they are critical or work-related, both of which I prepare for well in advance. Telephone conversations require initiating small talk, which is a no-no for INFPs, and introverts in general. An excellent example of an INFP speaking is this comment from The Office's Michael Scott. Sometimes I'll start a sentence and have no idea where it's heading. I'm just hoping I stumble into it along the way. Thus, when I say I'm afraid of phone conversations, I'm truly afraid of abruptly veering off topic. I subsequently wonder why I couldn't have gotten straight to the subject instead of recounting many mini-stories that had nothing to do with the discussion. And did I share too much? We INFPs are frequently used to being scrutinized for our perceived weirdness and awkwardness, and it may get overpowering at times. 2. I appear to be spaced out as you speak with me, perhaps because I'm lost in my imagination. It's not difficult to identify me at a social event. Usually, I'm the one with my nose buried in my phone, but not to make calls. Mingling with your pet, or just daydreaming. Several of my acquaintances have even observed me disassociating in the midst of a conversation. While some make light of it, others call me out on it. INFPs are excellent listeners and will take the time to listen to your serious difficulties as well as your excitements. However, we despise discussing the mundane details of daily existence. I enjoy intimate meetings with close friends and family, where I can be myself without fear of making small chat. Additionally, INFPs are rarely bored because we are our own greatest friends. One aspect of my nature that I adore is that I can always bank on my imagination to come to my rescue. Thus, unless you engage me in conversation about something that piques my interest, I will zone out. While you may be the most interesting person in the room, my inner world is as fascinating. As someone who struggles with social anxiety, it's also difficult for me to maintain eye contact with others, which contributes to the perception that I'm not paying attention. 3. I cancel plans at the last minute in order to stay at home. I am a selective social person who is receptive to a small number of people. As a result, I naturally keep my social circle small among individuals that understand me. Yet I am always checking in on and meeting up with my buddies. As a value-driven INFP, I appreciate people's time and expect others to do the same. However, at the end of the day, I am a socially apprehensive introvert who is well known for canceling plans. People frequently mistake this for a lack of desire to be social, but in all honesty, I'm a homebody who despises leaving the coziness of my own home. INFPs thrive in isolation, and it is critical for us to recharge, which can occur only when we are left alone. I enjoy catching up with my close friends, and on occasion, I am the one who makes the arrangements. However, as an INFP, indecision is my greatest weakness. It's a combination of instinct, self-confidence, and anxiousness pleading with me to abandon the plan. I am aware that this can frustrate others, and I have lost a few friends as a result. It's not something I'm proud of, but I'm working on it. 4. I vanish from the face of the earth, but fear not, I will return. Eventually. I cannot speak for all INFPs, but one of the things that irritates people about me is that I disappear for days and then text them back as if nothing happened. It typically occurs when I'm feeling overwhelmed or exhausted. INFPs experience all of their emotions until they are prepared to face the world again. I require time to recharge my social batteries if I spend too much time with my pals. If I'm overwhelmed and don't know where to begin, I retreat into hermit mode to sort things out. Additionally, I frequently disconnect from social media and log in solely to check memes, rather than reply to messages, which frustrates my friends. To be honest, I'm relieved that I have a few folks that check in on me when I shut down. As an INFP, I struggle with asking for help, which is why I share little. We prefer solitude over discussing our feelings, since we may feel like a burden. The act of disappearing from view is frequently misinterpreted as ghosting, which is not the case. Usually, it's a phase during which I'm anxious or my self-confidence is low, and has nothing to do with the other person. We INFPs struggle to connect with others, but when we do, we are not taken for granted by their presence. Each of us is going through a difficult time in terms of mental discomfort. Individuals express themselves emotionally in their own distinct ways. When INFPs are overwhelmed, they may become emotionally aloof for a time, but they do not want to be impolite, upset, or offended. They value their friends and family and will eventually return to normalcy once they regain their sense of self. I am not easily approachable. The majority of people I know, including those close to me, have expressed concern that I am excessively secretive. They frequently comment that I rarely initiate a conversation and, when I do, I avoid discussing myself extensively. The F in INFP stands for feeling, and I definitely internalize my emotions, which gives me the appearance of being remote and unemotional. However, this introverted nature is also why I am so protective of my loved ones. Even though we INFPs prefer to exist in our own little bubble, this does not mean we are self-absorbed or callous. However, the INFP personality type places a high premium on kindness and empathy. I frequently ruminate and become trapped in an endless cycle of unresolved emotions. And, out of an innate desire to protect those I care about, I find it easier to repress my emotions than to share my overwhelming inner world. For the same reason, I just show what is obvious, which often gives the impression that I am not as involved in our relationship as they are. Another reason individuals may feel ignored is because I divert my attention with various things. Occasionally, I prefer losing myself in books, art, or television shows to the point where socializing takes a back seat. As a result, it may appear as though I am a difficult person to approach, but I hope those closest to me understand how much I care about them. And that is it for this video. Before you go, please remember to subscribe because we donate $1 for each new subscribers each month to www.savethechildren.org. So by subscribing and being part of this community, you are already helping the children too. See you again.